Humans were not meant to win. Not in the beginning. Not in a world ruled by strength, speed, and instinct. Long before cities, before language, before memory could even hold a name. There were only small groups of humans scattered across a vast and dangerous Earth. They were fragile. Soft skin. Slow bodies. No claws. No fangs. No armor. Just fear and instinct. And in that world, fear was not enough. Every day was a test. A test they were not designed to pass. Predators moved faster. Stronger. Deadlier. One mistake was the end. No second chances. No rescue. No safety. And yet, they survived. Not because they were stronger, but because something began to change. Quietly. Almost invisibly. Inside the mind. At first, it was small. A pause before acting. A memory that stayed a little longer. A question that didn't disappear. Why did that happen? Why did that work? Why did that fail? And in those questions, something new was born. Awareness. Not just reacting, but observing. They began to see patterns. The way animals hunted. The way seasons changed. The way danger moved before it appeared. And slowly, they learned. A rock became more than a rock. It became possibility. A tool. A weapon. A solution. A stick became reach. Distance. Control. And for the first time in history, a species began to shape the world instead of being shaped by it. But intelligence did not come easy. It came at a cost. Every failure hurt. Every mistake killed. There was no room for error. And so the brain adapted. Not because it wanted to grow, but because it had to. This was not evolution by choice. It was evolution by pressure. Because if you cannot run faster, you must think faster. If you cannot fight harder, you must think smarter. And so, the human brain began to change. Then came something even more powerful than thought. Something invisible, but unstoppable. Connection. At first, it was simple. A sound. A gesture. A look. But it meant everything. Because now, one human's knowledge could become many. They warned each other. They planned together. They remembered together. And in that moment, intelligence stopped being individual. It became collective. One human was weak, but many humans, thinking, sharing, learning together, became something entirely new. They became a system. They hunted in groups, protected one another, taught their young. Knowledge no longer died with the body. It lived on, growing, expanding, evolving. And then, fire. At first, it was fear. Fire was alive, unpredictable, dangerous. But humans did something no other creature dared to do. They controlled it. Fire gave them power. Warmth in the cold. Light in the dark. Safety in the unknown. But its greatest impact was hidden. Cooking. Food changed. Softer. Richer. Easier to consume. And that change fed the brain. more energy, more growth, more complexity. And with that, the mind expanded. Generations passed. Thousands of years. And something incredible happened. Humans stopped just surviving. They started improving. Tools became sharper, more precise, more intentional. Shelters became homes. Homes became villages. Villages became civilizations. And with each step, intelligence deepened. Then came language. Not just sounds, but meaning, structure, abstraction. Now humans could do something extraordinary. They could imagine. They could think about things that didn't exist. Plan for futures that hadn't happened. Create ideas that had never been seen. And this was the true turning point. Because intelligence is not just logic. It is imagination. It is the ability to ask, what if? What if we build? What if we explore? What if we understand? And so they did. Stone became bronze. Bronze became iron. Iron became machines. Each step faster than the last. Then came knowledge. Organized. Written. Shared across generations. Science. A system of understanding. A way to question reality itself. And suddenly, humans were no longer just reacting to the world. They were explaining it. And then, they began to control it. Electricity. Industry. Technology. In just a few centuries, humanity leaped further than in all previous history. They flew. They crossed oceans. They connected the planet. And then, they created machines that could think. The same species that once feared the dark was now creating intelligence. But here is the truth. The real reason behind everything. Humans did not become intelligent because they were meant to. They became intelligent because they had no other choice. They were weak, so they had to think. They were vulnerable, so they had to adapt. They were alone, so they had to connect. Every step of intelligence was built on survival, fear, failure, pressure, not comfort, not design, not destiny. And even today, that force still exists. The need to evolve, the pressure to adapt, the instinct to survive. But now, something has changed. For the first time in history, humans are no longer just evolving themselves. They are creating intelligence outside themselves. Artificial minds, machines that learn, systems that think. And this raises a question greater than any before. What happens next? Will intelligence continue to evolve beyond us? Or will we become the beginning of something else? Because the story of human intelligence was never about reaching an end. It was always about becoming more, becoming different, becoming something unknown. And maybe, just maybe, this is not the peak. This is the beginning. If you are listening to this, you are part of that journey. A mind shaped by millions of years of struggle. A product of survival. Every thought you have is built on the past. Every idea, is an echo of those who came before. And the future is waiting. Waiting for the next step, the next evolution, the next question. So ask yourself, if intelligence made us human, what will make us more than human?